cadence stirs. I find the strength to face love and life, my revelations. By faith, I'm led to grace through their wise remonstration. Egyptian statues, fiery eyes held wide.
I recall reading Kenzie's Ensayo for the first time, her account of our meeting. I found her description of me as an 11 on the male Richter scale of good looks quite amusing. In later years, after gaining some weight, I'd have struggled to imagine anyone seeing me that way. But Kenzie insists it's not the inches around my waist that draw her in. It was always my dimples, the way they captured her heart. Nicodemus Luciano Zakarian, Capitulo 89.
Darin studied Nico's dark good looks, wondering how Mary could choose him when he fell so far short of the classic tall, dark and handsome ideal. He wished keenly to be attractive enough that Mary's interest in being his Cailey would be assured. Part of him wanted to avoid this evening entirely, to forego the honor of giving his soul into her keeping on this night. Deep down, he expected she would prefer someone more handsome, sophisticated, someone who surpassed him in looks, in refinement, in everything.
Zeke requested the royal seclusion suite for you,
Nico said. His dimples deepened as he grinned, adding lightly,
I was going to give you that luxury no matter what, of course.
I think...
Darin began.
Do not think.
Nico interrupted him. His grin was gone.
Feel, experience, act, do not think. The Spirit has confirmed your choice. Your union will be sanctioned. Accept the influence of deity in your life. Accept that you saw Mary's aura because deity knows she is right for you and that you are right for her. Anything else means you deny deity, the Spirit, and your faith.
Darin's head jerked back. He felt like he had been punched. Nico's expression was furious, his eyes cold. Darin realized in that moment what it was he had almost denied. Nico was right to chastise him. He felt a sick wrench in his gut. What if his doubts had somehow made him ineligible to take part in the greatest blessings of the Estolian Way? But then Nico's expression softened, and he gave Darin a lopsided grin.
My job can be difficult,
Nico said wryly.
I know that you believe in deity, in the faith, in the promise of Zacharias. What you need to do is learn to believe in the Estolian Way with the same level of faith. You and Mary are right for one another. I promise that you will believe before the sun rises.
Darin was holding his breath, and he let it out slowly, taking several deep breaths before nodding. Nico grinned happily and leaped to his feet.
I will have the acolytes prepare the seclusion suite. You and Mary really should choose to go there from the start.
Darin would invite Mary to accompany him to the seclusion suite, and if she was willing, he would spend a full week doing everything within his power to convince her that he was the right man for her. If she was not convinced, then he deserved what would end up happening, but he would leave the future to fend for itself. He had this evening to get through first. After Nico left, Darin looked at his reflection in the mirror. He was trying to decide whether the outfit he chose was really the right thing to wear, or if he should change into something more or less formal. He was still dithering when a tap at his door preceded its swinging open. It was his father.
Nico spoke with you?
He asked without preamble. Darin grimaced at the memory of their interview. His father's expression made it clear he already knew what had taken place. Before Darin even realized he was going to ask the question, he blurted out,
Has deity ever?
He paused. Finishing the thought felt perilously close to doubt.
No, Darin,
Zeke replied, answering the unspoken question as surely as if Darin had voiced it aloud.
Deity would not indicate you and Mary were right for one another and then take it back. The greatest purpose we have in this world, as we are refined for Tarzan, is to make mistakes and learn from them. You please deity by being willing to learn.
Darin swallowed down the tears that threatened to surface. From the time he was a small boy, His father was one of the wisest men in their entire nation, proving yet again that it was true. Most Estolians were blessed by their family connections and place in the nation, but he, Antiochus Kedarin Zakarian, was more blessed than any other man for the family that was his and for the way he so steadily received guidance in his life. The proud smile on his father's face drew a nod of acknowledgement. It was time for him to embrace his future, Meredith. When Mary joined them in Nico and Kenzie's dining room, Darin felt the rush of blood to his face and other parts of his anatomy. She was everything he ever wanted in his future wife and more. He crossed the room to her, his eyes fixed on hers, his senses full of her presence. The Mayberry perfume on her skin, the shimmer of her aura dancing around her like a halo of fire.
Meredith Palmer, please tell me that you are going to marry me, be mine, not only for now, but forever.
If that is what you want, Darin,
she said softly. Nico and Kenzie guided them towards the front entrance of the palace. Stars were already twinkling in the night sky. It was later than he thought. He and Mary followed the other couple down to the carriage waiting in the forecourt. Once the carriage started moving, Darin's senses took in everything. Mary's perfume and the warmth of her hand clasped in his. The tang of Mayberry bark from the trees scattered along the palace road. The cool breeze against his face, the jangle of harnesses from the 4 carriage horses, the measured cadence of their hooves. A rippling noise like wind in sails whispered above, followed by a tingling in his ears. Overhead, the starlit outlines of bats winged past. Mary squeezed his hand and asked,
where are we going?
To the temple,
he said.
to the seclusion suite, so we can spend a week together.
Mary leaned against Darin as the carriage wound down the switchback road toward the temple. Below, the valley stretched between the 2 mountains. The cathedral windows gleamed like fire, and she noticed how its position never blocked the temple's entrance for those on Mount Zacharias. The large eyes of each cat statue glowed with bright yellow and red light that fluttered. Each cat's simulated pupils were enormous emeralds in daylight. She wondered if flames highlighted each eye, or if it was a technological invention. Regardless, watching those glowing eyes made something stir within her as they descended the mountain. The switchback palace road was well lit, but it remained a dark night. She was so focused on the glowing eyes of the cat statues that she lost track of their purpose and destination. Only when the carriage came to a sudden halt did she realize they had reached the temple. Nico helped Kenzie out of the carriage, and then waited while Darin climbed out and followed his example to help Mary out of the carriage.
Another time?
Nico said, as he escorted them up the shallow steps to the large wooden doors.
I will give you a tour of the temple. For now, I believe that the best course of action is for the 2 of you to go direct to the seclusion suite.
Mary felt dazed as she and Darin followed the other couple, her senses already tuning out the surroundings in anticipation of being alone. She barely registered the young men holding doors, the polished tiles of the foyer, or the glimpse of a ceremony room before they were at another set of double doors, which Nico and Kenzie held open for them. After those doors closed, they were finally alone together. Once she realized she was alone with Darin, she felt shy. Was it possible he could be interested in her? She looked away from him, seeing the luxury of their surroundings, particularly a glass wall across from where they were standing. It was very late, and the darkness outside made the glass act like a mirror. She could see their reflection, standing side by side. A wave of peace settled over her heart and soul, and she knew a deep sense of contentment as her earlier insecurities just seemed to melt away. Fancifully, she felt as if she could see destiny swirling around them, like bright maple leaves dancing in a fall New England breeze. His eyes met hers in the reflection, and he pulled her close before turning to look at her directly.
Meredith, I am in awe of the person that you are. You are beautiful.
No more beautiful than you are.
She asserted, breathless.
What happens next?
He led her to a small dining room on their right. She followed him to a beautifully laid-out meal on a semicircular table. He pulled out her chair for her, and she smiled at him before sitting down. Everything she loved about him became more pronounced during the course of the meal. By the time they were done eating, it seemed to be a natural segue for him to lead her to the bedchamber and slowly undress her. A heated surge of desire enveloped them, spiraling from gentle arousal to tempestuous passion. Mary felt as if she could have answered the most esoteric questions about the purpose of life by the time they were breathing heavily in one another's arms. Her purpose of life was exactly what she had experienced with Darin, a lifelong relationship that would, if she could believe the way they spoke about it, transcend both death and time itself. Once his breathing was even and measured, like the heartbeat in her ear, she sat up slightly and looked at him. The lights were still on in the bedchamber, and she was glad.
Do you really plan to spend eternity with me, even though I'm boring?
She asked softly.
You are anything but boring.
He said, brushing a strand of hair from her face.
And yes, Mary, I hope to spend every moment granted to me in this life and in Torrizon by your side, getting to know you.
I find the strength to face love and life, my revelations by faith. I'm led to grace through their wise remonstrations.